If it's one thing that Warframe has plenty of, well, besides Warframes, it's weapons. A whole lot of weapons, my friends. Basically, there's a little bit of something for everybody. And there are a few weapons that define Warframe as a feel, as a game. And you know what? You haven't played Warframe until you tried the Opticor. Or perhaps if that's too slow for you, the turbocharge option, the Opticor Vandal. Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be diving deeper into the Opticor Vandal. I got a couple of builds for you. Something standard, rudimentary, the same old approach, but I got a little bit of a cool build for you, something a bit more fun, something with a little bit of fire rate if you catch my drift, but we're also going to be having the Endgame setup maxed out. Galvanized Mods, Prime Mods, a Riven, we're gonna take it to Steel Path, top it off with Warframe Buffs, basically the works. That's it though, please bear in mind that my builds and guides usually take a more new player friendly tone. I'm gonna be taking my time and explaining whatever I feel is necessary for more newer or casual tenno. So in case you're a vet and you already know most of this stuff, you can either skip ahead or have a bit of patience. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Opticor Vandal. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped, and for that, just a couple of our regular free shots. The Opticor Vandal, my friends, in all its glory, is a Photon Cannon, which means what? Well, it's a cannon which shoots laser beams, and we call them Photon because... Anyway, the point is, my friends, it's basically a charge-up weapon. You gotta charge up your shots. At full charge, the weapon automatically discharges, so there's no way to hold the shot in like you would in the case of the Lanka, for example, which makes the Lanka, or what used to make the Lanka, a more fitting Eidolon hunter. But nowadays, my friends, you can hunt Eidolon with actually a toothpick, a fishing spear, believe it or not, so don't worry about it so much. Now, you do have one additional option. You can release a halfway shot. Something like that. Now, in releasing a halfway shot, there is the benefit of the faster charge, but the damage, of course, will be roughly half. So do bear that one in mind. The magazine is, well, low at 8, but on the other hand, the reload is super quick. Take a look at that. Boom, done, and you're reloaded. Of course, it's got also very cool visual effects. You can do some captura stuff with it, but that, of course, is subjective. Now, you should know one more thing about the Opticor Vandal. At the point of contact, it basically does an explosion of about 4.6 meters, or so does the wiki say. In my testing, the explosion radius is more like 3.5 meters at most. But there you go. Theoretically, it should be 4.6 meters, and the explosion has innate magnetic damage. Keep in mind that the explosion and the direct impact apply their damage separately. That means two sources of potentially applying a proc, and we definitely need that. What else is there? Oh yes, guaranteed stagger effect. Here you go. See that? Them going back like that. The guaranteed stagger effect. Not a guaranteed impact proc, which in this case would have been more useful, but there you go. Now let's hop into stats to see exactly what we're dealing with. Mod capacity, 60 out of 60, and if your Opticor Vandal comes to only 30 out of 30, you jump to actions and you plug in that Auto King Catalyst. Is it worth it? Of course it's worth it. It's an Opticor, it's a Photon Cannon. How could it not be worth it? Are you made of stone or what? Now my weapon has a total of 7 forma. Is it worth? It really depends on what kind of mods you have. You got all the Prime mods, you got all the Galvanized mods, do you have a Riven and all whatnot? For the weapon build I'm recommending you can get away with something like 3 to 4 format. The Opticor Vandal comes with an innate V polarity, that is Madurai, also the most commonly used polarity. Now you should definitely unlock the Arcane slot, because in this one you're going to be putting yourself on Primary Deadhead or Merciless or Dexterity. Dexterity, of course, you're going to be using this one in tandem with your melee. Deadhead is what I prefer on the Opticor, because I like to build them for raw damage, one big bada boom hit, one shot, one kill kind of affair. And of course Primary Merciless if you're going to go for the usual damage over time effects such as Viral Mumu, but more on that later. As for the Excel slot... nah, you don't really need to unlock this one because you don't really need anything per se from here. Now I know everybody says, hey, Vigilante Supplies is always useful. Yeah, so is a paper bag. You don't really need it 100%. Stabilizer is what I like to use on the Opticor Vandal simply because it makes it more smooth in operation, and I'm more inclined to pick it up from mission to mission. What else is there to say? Oh yeah, stats. Charge rate, super quick, 0.6. Fire rate, a lot better than the normal, at 2. Magazine of weight, which is decent if you take into account the 1.4 second reload. Of course, it is alarming, but you should know that when you kill targets with the Opticor, basically they get dissolved, just like with the Arcaplasmor, right? So it makes it kinda useful for stealth missions because the bodies get vaporized, but not really so much. Nowadays, people in spy missions don't really spy it anymore. They just pick up Wukong and win. Thanks, Warframe. Anyway, innate punch roll of 1 meter. Of course, the trigger is charged. The Riven dispo 3 out of 5, which means it is definitely worth getting Rivens for the Opticor Vandal. Now you got stats here. Quick shot stats, quick shock, radial attack, and charge shot. We're just going to be looking at the charge shot. Now you can build the Opticor Vandal for a super fire rate build, and you go make it more of an assault rifle rather than anything else, but I'll show you that towards the end. As for the charge shot stats, well, critical chance is good, 24%. Critical multiplier is way above average at 2.6. Status chance, believe it or not, at 30% is kind of low, considering how many shots you put into your target normally with the weapon. And you got the full array of IPS, impact, puncture, slash. Sadly, slash is not the highest, puncture is, so do bear that one in mind. And of course, this is a charge radial attack damage, and here you have the charge radial attack damage, 100 versus 200. So basically, if you go for quick shots, you essentially get half the damage. So do bear that one in mind. Now, let's have a look at a more standard build for the Opticor Vandal. Damage acceleration, multi-shot with split chamber. We got critical chance and critical damage for the use of critical delay, and of course critical damage with vital sense. We got two 60-60 mods forming vital on the weapon, malignant force, rhyme rounds, and vile acceleration is here to increase the fire rate, make it even more smooth. And this is an option slot. Honestly, you don't really need to go this route at all. For example, you can use a little bit of, I don't know, you can use something like this. Maybe a bit more multi-shot, never a bad idea. Or perhaps you prefer another 60-60, also a very good idea, and you can go like so. Vital heat, why the hell not? Now here's the thing. I don't recommend a build like this. No, the reason why I'm showcasing it is because there will be people that want to build it like, hey, the standard Vital Mumu, and this is the standard Vital Mumu. So let me show you what it can do with the standard Vital Mumu. Let's go in the option slot with a little bit of multi-shot. Why not, eh? A little bit of multi-shot never hurt nobody. Now, nothing up my sleeve, there's no corrosive projection, no tricks to make the weapon seem more powerful than it actually is. This is just a weapon on its own 2 feet. We're going to be spawning in those delicious corrupted heavy goons, level 120, for the test and all whatnot. And this is the kind of performance you can expect. Look at that, one shot on the guy, there's the vital proc, there's a 16,000 slash, yay me! I got slash again, yay me! Uh-oh, but only 8,000 slash with not a vital proc, that means it's not gonna die. So essentially, my friends, you're gonna... Oh, beautiful. 60,000 bleed. Essentially, you are at the mercy of the procs. Now, the first couple of shots make the weapon seem extremely powerful, but here's the gist of it. You don't get the procs, there's no cigar. And I don't like to be at the mercy of the procs. Honestly, it's not really all that great because, as you can see there, I didn't get the vital proc. It's only an explosion slash, so the target didn't die from a one shot. I believe that these weapons are meant to one shot. This is a way you can approach the build. Fine. If you really must have vital slash on freaking everything in this game, this is the way to go. And this is the kind of performance you can expect. It can be incredible if you're lucky with the procs, or it can be totally meh if you're not lucky with the procs. I like to build a weapon for as much raw damage as possible. Now here's the thing about raw damage. It's good up until a certain point. It's good up until, let's say, level 150, 200-ish, when you're gonna be getting better clear time than adding a whole lot of multipliers. But some may argue, hey, putting that much raw damage on a weapon adds diminishing returns. Now, make no mistake, there are no diminishing returns in Warframe. No, there's no built-in mechanic to say, hey, this guy went over 600 crits, so therefore we're gonna reduce. No, that's not it. Math has diminishing returns built in. Math is wonderful like that. So essentially, the more you add of a single multiplier, the less you're gonna be getting out of it. But a raw damage build for the Opticor, something after my own heart, would look something like... a whole lot of fire rate, basically, kind of. All the fire rate with spring-loaded chamber, speed trigger, vile acceleration, vigilante, fervor, we move to point strike and shred. Now, of course, you can use prime shred if you so desire, but the point is, can you make a little bit of a fun build with normal, average, everyday mods? Because you know what? Newer players that don't have everything should have fun too. So there you go, my friends. We're going to be testing it like this, and of course we're going to be using Lord Harrow, the ever so lovely, popular, and gruesome Lord Harrow. Because Harrow offers you fire rate as well as reload speed using his 2 ability. Now, the weapon kinda does this now. How fast can you click? Now, of course, you can always bind your fire to your scroll wheel, my friends, and the weapon is not incredibly... doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but it is a whole lot of fun to use to transform the Opticor into essentially a machine gun, or an assault rifle. So this is an option, and this will be fine for normal, average, everyday content. I'm talking about, I don't know, doing sortie, but not sortie 3, maybe sortie 1 and sortie 2, and just average, everyday star chart stuff. Of course, you're not going to be taking a weapon like this into something like endurance run, so do bear that one in mind. You can make a fun little cool build. It's not terribly efficient, it's not very meta, but it is kind of cool to use. Now, enough about that. Let's say you want to make a powerful build and you got yourself all the prime mods or the galvanized mods. You got it would look something like this. It would look something like this. Now, my friends, we got a Riven right here. We got the Visicrown critical chance and damage. Is a pretty normal, average, everyday Riven for the Opticor. It's on the good side. It's been rolled 50 times. It is mine. Actually, yes, for once it is mine. And of course, you can get better rolls than this. It has no multi-shot. Yeah, and no negative either. So of course, if you feel lucky, head on over to Kuva, get yourself some Kuva, and throw in a couple of rolls on your Opticor Rivens. Opticor Rivens are not terribly expensive. In my humblest of opinions, they are worth getting. I even used the Bane mod. Yes, I did use a goddamn Bane mod because you know what? It is worth it on this build. It's as simple as Amalgam Serration is an option. In this case, you can use the normal version as well. And we should talk a little bit about Galvanized Aptitude. Oh, I know, you're not using Galvanized Aptitude because it doesn't work. No, it does work. It works perfectly fine on the Opticor Vandal, but the thing is, again, I believe that this weapon is meant to one-shot, and unless you're gonna be preparing your targets, and by preparing, of course, I mean priming your target with a secondary or a melee or anything of the sort, Galvanized Aptitude won't get its damage on from the first shot. So, which is why I kind of left it off the build. If you guys are cool with prepping your targets with a secondary or anything of the sort, absolutely replace Serration on the build or Amalgam Serration with Galvanized Aptitude. And of course, I could have 4-mod one more time to get Malignant Force out and get in the 90 mod for a bigger wallop worth of initial damage, but that would mean 4-modding one more time, and then I couldn't show you this build and the other build and the other build. So, there is that. And of course, primarily Deadhead, because we are going for the biggest wallop worth of damage that we can. Now on Harrow this time, I'm not going to be using a build because I want to show you guys what the weapon can do, again on its own 2 feet, against the same Corrupted Heavy Goons level 120. And then we're going to take this exact build to Steel Path. That's a one-shot, puppy. And you know what? It wasn't even fully charged yet. I mean, we didn't have the full galvanized stacks just yet. Take a look. The one-shot is not in question. And my friends, when you're one-shotting level 120s, 150s, do you really need anything more than that? Now, let's see how this one performs in an actual Steel Path mission. This is the Void, and in the Void you're going to be finding yourself the Corrupted. The Corrupted are essentially a little bit of everything. Now, most of these guys are going to be dying in one shot without any issue, but there are heavy-duty targets, such as this Corrupted Heavy Goon, which required 2 shots. But as you can see, the weapon can absolutely melt without any issue whatsoever. Do you really need more performance than this? Is that an Argon Crystal? No, I thought it was an Argon Crystal. Now with me I have Daddy Revenant, which you should love by now, and of course the Panzer Volpofila, which will be helping out with a little bit of procs here and there. Some vital procs which are always good. The performance of the weapon from my humble point of view in actual missions is decent, but you don't play this weapon for the performance, you play this weapon for the feel that the Opticor offers you. And this one of course being a bit more streamlined since it is the Vandal version. Make sure you take out the little shield drone thingy because it is annoying and it offers the targets more HP for you to chomp through. Take a look at that. 1 shot, 2 kills. Now the beam is 1/2 meter thick. Did I mention that? It's 1/2 meter thick, so if you aim it the right way, you can get some really nice damage on your targets. And I do believe that is pretty much it. There is one more thing I would like to show you in the simulacrum. That is Warframe Buffs with the ever so lovely Lady Mirage Prime. If you're gonna be fighting heavily armored targets, make sure you consider Corrosive Projection. This one is still kinda meta. Enemy armor reduced by a whopping 18%, and believe it or not, it used to be higher than this, but it got a wee bit of a nerf a while back. Now, this is not mandatory by any stretch of the imagination. If your Warframe build calls for something like Sprint Boost, Aerodynamic, or whatever else, simply go for the aura of your choosing. If the aura is that important to you, make sure you don't forget about the Coaction Drift mod. You can put it instead of Power Drift in this case. 15% aura strength and 15% aura effectiveness. Now this might be a bit kooky. What is the actual benefit this one gives me? You can find a nice clear table over on the wiki that explains the effectiveness of coaction drift. Now when it comes to the arcanes, these are a lot more impactful. Arcane acceleration, if you want to make a full fire rate build like the one I showcased earlier with Harrow, you can make it fire even faster than that. Arcane Avenger, however, is a no-brainer. This is a bonus additive after effect that simply stacks on top of what you already have, which means it doesn't care about the base critical chance of your weapons. It applies to your primary, secondary, and to your melee at the exact same time. So basically, it's one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful, offensive arcane in Warframe. As for your secondary arcane, honestly, this is what I recommend you use for your Warframe. Something like your Energize, or perhaps you want a little bit more armor and all whatnot. If you want more raw damage, because why not? More raw damage. Arcane Rage, also from the Fertile Lawn down on Cetus, 180% damage to primary weapons. Essentially, this one is the same multiplier as something like Serration. And we're going to be testing the weapon out like so. When it comes to companion buffs, two options. Since this is a primary, you can either go with the Panzervolt Profila and get yourself some viral procs, which in my opinion is invaluable, or the other option is to get even more critical chance with a Sentinel. Any Sentinel you want, just make sure that on that Sentinel's weapons you have the 4 Vigilante mods. If you're going to be using supplies in your weapon in the Excellence slot, there's no need to use it here. So do bear that one in mind. Now, level as much as I can Corrupted Heavy Goons. Let's go 165. It's not gonna make a huge difference, but it will be making a difference. We're gonna be unpausing the AI so they can hit me and I can get my glorious, absolutely glorious buffs. Activate Empower for Mirage and her free ability for an absolutely outstanding Eclipse buff and for the best animation in Warframe. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. As before, go for a headshot. Now, this is not a super high fire rate build, this is a super high damage build. And as you can see, the one shots are, that was 500,000. Over 500,000 easy. One shot, 2 targets, no problem whatsoever. This is how I like to play the Opticor. Is it the most effective way? Is it the most DPS friendly way? No, not exactly. You see, my friends, what often shows good on paper when it comes to gameplay in Warframe doesn't always transpire into actual gameplay. This is a whole lot more satisfying to me, and a one shot is a one shot is a one shot. And I don't really need any more than this for mostly any content that Warframe can't throw at me. And I do believe that's pretty much it. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And take my word for it, you haven't played Warframe until you tried the Opticor or the Opticor Vandal. You can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. And if you love the content, hey, consider supporting us via Patreon. Link in the cards right now. But until next time, my friends, bye-bye.